Okay, so this is slightly weird because I don't feel I need to do the grand introduction for those people who are joining on Facebook. For those of you who are on Zoom, though, it's amazing to see you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rabbi Finn. I'm one of the rabbis in the shul. And today we're going to do something slightly different. Normally, I like to have somebody different every week to lead the service. And I also like to have somebody different every week to share the Devar Torah, a few words of Torah. But instead, today it's going to just be me. And what we're going to be doing is a slightly expanded explanatory version of the Friday night service. So that, as well as just going through it, also have a chance to understand a little bit what we're doing. And for those at home, for you to have a chance to get into the mood for Shabbat. As I said, for those who have joined, in the chat box, there is a link to the BS songbook for this service. And let's just start straight away. What is Shabbat? What is the purpose of Shabbat? Why do we have Shabbat? And if we look in the Torah for the answer, we're given actually two answers. The first answer is that Shabbat is there to remind us about creation. It is the words that we say in Kiddush on a Friday night and Shabbat morning, where we say Zecher leMaaseh Bereshit. It is to remember that God created the world, that there is a God, and that there was a creation. And so just as God rested after creating the world for 6 days, he rested on the seventh day, so too we withdraw a little bit, we rest, we recharge, we are supposed to focus on those things that are important. That's reason number one. Reason number two for Shabbat is a slightly odd one. It's to remember the going out of Egypt. Now you might ask, what is the going out of Egypt got to do with Shabbat? We celebrate the going out of Egypt, the Exodus, on Passover, on Pesach. So why are we also supposed to be remembering it on Shabbat? And here is a slightly more complex and complicated reason. And that is as follows. When we were slaves, we didn't really have the opportunity to ever rest. We were not in charge of our lives. We were not in charge of our time. If our slave masters told us to do something, we had no choice. We had to do it. If they wanted a building built, we had to build it. If they wanted the bricks to be made, we had to make them. We never had a chance to relax and to appreciate time. Shabbat is 24 hours, or actually 25 hours, an oasis of time in our manic world, an opportunity for us to realize the value of time, to spend a bit of time doing what we want to do, to focus on what is important. And with that in mind, we head into Kabbalat Shabbat, welcoming the Shabbat service. It's an ancient service which dates back to the 1600s, and I'll explain more in a few moments. But actually, at some point in history, we added on another song, and that is Yedid Nefesh. So if you're following in the BS songbook, it's on page 3. If you're not, please join along with me. I think one of the reasons we have this added on was simply because people would often run late for shul. And so therefore, to ensure they didn't miss the beginning, we added an extra song at the beginning. Yedid nefesh av harachaman meshoch avdecha el ritzonecha yarutz avdecha kamo ayal yishtachaveh el mul hadavecha Yevavlo yetitoitecha mino fetzu v'chol ta'am hadunawe ziv ha'olam nafshi cholat ahavatecha Ana we'na v'fana la behavot la no agzivecha as titchazek v'titvapei v'hayetzala simchat olam Vatik Yehemuna Vachamecha V'chusana Al Beinahu Vecha Ki Zekaba Nichsoif Nichsawafti לראות בתפארת עוזך, לכבדה ליבי וחוסנה, ואל תתעלם הגלנה, ופרוס חביבי עלי את סוכת שלומך, תאיר ארץ בכבודך, נגילה ונשמחה ובך, מהר רחוב קיבה מועד, וכהנינו כימי עולם. Yana nai 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 nai, yala lai 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 lai, yana nai 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 nai, yala lai lai lai, yana nai 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 nai, yala lai 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 lai, yala lai 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 lai, yana nai nai nai, yala lai 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 lai, yala lai 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 lai, yala lai 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 lai, yala lai 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 lai, yala lai 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 lai, yala lai 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 lai. La la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya 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 la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. So after you did Nefesh, which is the introductory song, we actually start the Kabbalat Shabbat service. And this service, as I mentioned, is quite old. It dates back to the 1600s to a little village called Tzfat in the land of Israel. And there, a group of Kabbalists, rabbis who liked to study Kabbalah, who actually created Kabbalah, they used to go out every Friday night. They would dress up in their best clothes, and they would go and they had this service called Kabbalat Shabbat. And one of the reasons they set up this service is simple. When you are planning to do something important, you need to prepare. For example, if it's your bar or bat mitzvah coming up, you're going to spend a bit of time thinking about it, preparing before you actually do it. If you have an exam coming up, you stop and you think about it and you prepare. Everything important starts off with some preparation. Even if it's a football match, you can't just go straight into a football match without warming up. And Kabbalat Shabbat, the service that they created, was the way for them to warm up, to prepare for Shabbat. But what is fascinating about the rabbis in Tzfat is that not only did they dress up into special clothes, not only did they create this service, but they left the shul. They didn't do it inside a shul. Instead, they went to the very edge of Tzfat, into the fields, to do this service every Friday night. I presume not if it was raining. And the question is why? Why would they go into the fields? And to answer that, well, the answer for that is going to come much later on. Let's start off with the first one of the Psalms, and then I'll explain the order of it before the next one. So it's on page 4. Lechu devadad latadai, navialetzu yishednu. Abayim shana kutbato v'amaram toyei levavim v'hem lo yadu drachai Hashem nishbati v'api im yavon el menuchati. We're about to be on page 5 of the songbook, and we're going to be doing Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash, sing to God a new song. The way that Kabbalat Shabbat is structured is as follows. There are 6 psalms, followed by the song Lechadodi, and then the 7th psalm, which is Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbat, a song for Shabbat. Does that sound familiar? 6, followed by a psalm for Shabbat? It should, because those 6 Psalms are supposed to represent the 6 days of the week leading up to Shabbat. And I like to think of it as follows. We have a lot of baggage that we gather during the week. Lots of things happen to us. We might have gone to school if it wasn't the holidays. We might have been at work. We might have gone on holiday. We might have done something which is amazing. Things might have gone completely awful for us, but lots has happened. And we need to unwind as we go into Shabbat. And so we have these 6 Psalms. I like to imagine them as an opportunity to unwind. As we say each Psalm, we move further and further away from the week into Shabbat. And before we sing the next song, the next Psalm, what I want to do is take a moment. I would like everybody please to think of one thing that has gone really, really well, and one thing that they would like to do better if they had a chance. And so for those who are at home as a group, please just have a moment to chat with the people around you. Try and think of one thing that's gone really, really, really good, and one thing you're quite happy to say goodbye to, see the back of as we end the week. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do that, and then we will proceed with the service. Okay, as I said, we're now on page 5. Please sing along or clap along with me. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai baruch shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato, sapru v'goyim k'avodo, b'chol ha'amim niflotav, ki gadol Adonai halam meyod. Noi rahu al kol Elohim ayai ki kol Elohim yamim melilim vatanai shamayim asahod v'hadav lefanav v'tiferet b'mikdasho havu l'Adonai mishpachot amim havu l'Adonai kavod ve'oz havu l'Adonai kavod shemo seu mincha uvo lachatzvot havaya yishtachavu l'Adonai b'chadvat kodesh chilu mipana kol haaret imu v'goyim Adonai malach ati kotevel ba'otimot yadinamim b'meishavim yismechu hashamayim v'takel haaret yiram hayam u'melohom Yalo Shaddai v'chol asher bo ayai al tirandenu kol hatziyar lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz yishpot hevel b'tzedek ve'yamim b'emunato yanai la 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 yanai Nai 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 ya lai la lai lai la lai ya nai 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 ya nai 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 ya nai ya nai 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 ya lai la lai lai ya la lai ya la lai la lai lai ya nai 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 ya nai 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 ya nai ya nai ya lai la 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 lai ya la lai la la lai La 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 ya la 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 ya la la ya la la la. Well, to the next one, I think that's probably page 7 by my counting. I don't have it in front of me. Adonai Malach, which means God reigns. God is king, and this is all about God being the king, but this psalm is written with a future look, looking to the time of Mashiach, where it says, and so if you look at the translation, it will say God reigns in the present tense, but actually it is the Hebrew in truth is in the past. Hashem Malach, God was king. And what is going on? Why is it in the future, but speaking about the past? And the answer is as follows. sometimes when people come to realize God, they suddenly think, oh, this is brand new. When actually he's trying to say that God has always been there. God has been around since the beginning of creation and will be here till the end of days. And so this is Hashem is the King. Atana malach takel ha'aretz. Shama batismach Zion v'tagelna benot Yehuda lema mishpatecho Adonai ki ata Adonai elyon al kol haaretz miot naleit al kol Elohim Ohavei Adonai Sinura Shomer Nafshot Chasidav Miat V'shayim Yatzilem Ozavu El HaTzadik Ulishvelei Simcha Tzimchu Tzadikim B'Adonai V'hodu Lezecher Kodsho. Okay, so now I've just had to check. We are actually up to page 5 of the songbook. Mizmor Shir L'Adonai Shir Chadash. This is about singing to God. How often do amazing things happen, or even minor things, which we're quite happy about, happen when we don't appreciate them? We don't appreciate when friends are nice to us. We don't appreciate when our parents do something good for us. We don't appreciate when things necessarily go well. And actually, this is a reminder that we should always appreciate the blessings in our life and appreciate the many miracles that God does for us every single day. Mizmor Shir L'Adonai Shir Chadash ki niflat hasan. B'chasos v'kol shafarim lefnei melech Adonai yivam hayamum lo tevel v'yosheveva navot yimcha ucha yachat havim yaneinu lefnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz yishpot tevel b'tzedek v'yamim b'meisharim. We're up to page 6, another psalm which starts off with Hashem Malach, and I'm just going to explain this psalm and the next psalm as one block because we run from one psalm into the next. So this is all about explaining how powerful Hashem is, and how in the second psalm God has revealed himself to us throughout history using his kol, using his voice. Atana Malach yukazu amim yoshev. Moshe v'Aharon v'Kohanav u'Shmuel v'Korei Shemo Korim El Adonai v'Hu Ya'anem v'Amud Hanan Yitaber Aleihem Shamu Eidotav V'chok natan lamo Adonai Eloheinu Ata nitam El nosei hayita lahem V'nokeim al alilotam Romamu Adonai Eloheinu V'ishtachavu lahal kodsho Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Mizmor leDavid Havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim Havu l'Adonai Kavod ve'ozayai Havu l'Adonai Kavod shemo ishtachavu l'Adonai v'atzvat kodesh Kol Adonai al hamayim El hakabotirim Adonai al mayim rahavim Kol Adonai bako achayai Kol Adonai be'adal Kol Adonai shovev avadim Vayishaber Adonai et aldei halbanon Vayalkidem כמו עגל לבנון וסריון כמו ונראה ממאי כל אדוני חוצב לימותש כל אדוני יחיל מדבר יחיל אדוני מדבר קדש כל אדוני יכול לילות ויחסו יערות ובהיכלו כולו אומר כבודי אדוני למבול ישב וישב אדוני מלך לעולם אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום ינאי נאי נאי ילאי ללאי ילאי ללאי ללאי ילאי ללאי ילאי ללאי ינאי נאי נאי Ay ay nay na nay nay la 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 nay na nay la la na 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 la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 So we're up to the final song. As I said, we've done our 6th song. So we've let go of a week that has been, and now we are ready to welcome in Shabbat. Now, if you remember at the beginning, so about 15, 20 minutes ago, I mentioned how those people in Safat, they didn't daven in shul. They didn't do it on Zoom either. Facebook wasn't invented in those days, but what they used to do is they used to go out to the very edge of Safat, the very edge of the town, into the fields to welcome the Shabbat. And the question is, why would they do that? And one of the answers given is because there is a teaching, a very, very, very old teaching from the Talmud, the oral tradition, which says as follows. Rabbi Hanania used to say, "Come, let us greet the Shabbat queen." Shabbat is referred to as a queen. And if we look at the first words of the Lecha Dodi prayer, it's Lecha Dodi, come my beloved, Likrat Kala, to greet the bride, Pnei Shabbat Nekabala, let us welcome Shabbat. Shabbat is viewed like a queen. And if a queen was coming to your house, would you sit inside and wait for her to knock on the door, ring the bell, maybe knock again because you're, I don't know, busy playing PlayStation and you haven't answered, and then wait for her to walk in before you say hello? No, of course not. When the queen goes to visit anywhere, if you watch on TV, what's happening? There's people always outside the front door who go to greet her and show her in and bring her in. And so too we go out. So too they used to go outside of a shul to bring in the queen of Shabbat into their lives. But there's something else that we need to remember, which is just like if we were to ever meet a monarch, if we were to ever meet the queen, that should have an impact on our lives. That would change our lives. We would be telling everybody about it. So too, Shabbat is supposed to impact our lives. So Shabbat every week is supposed to change our lives a little bit and stay with us for the rest of the week until we have the next visit of the Queen, the next visit of Shabbat. So let's get ready to welcome the Shabbat Queen as we sing Lecha Dodi. As last week, I will try and choose the tune which I know a number of the Jewish primary schools use for the first half, and then a tune which I really like for the second half. So please join in. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabala. Shahamo v'zacho b'dibur echad, Hishmi'anu el ha'miyuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem v'l'tiferet v'l'tila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabala. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelecha, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מכתם נסוכה, סוף מעשה ומחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. מקדש מלך עם מלוכה, קומי צאי מתוך ההפכה, רב לך שבט בימי הברכה, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התנערי מעפר קומי, לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי, על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי, כובו אל נפשי גאלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, כי באורך ומיורי, אורי, שתדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נקלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לא תבושי ולא תקמי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תמי, בך יחסו עניי עמי, ונקנתה יראתי אלי. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. והיו למשיסה שוסייך, ברחקו כל מבלייך, יחסיס עלייך אלוהייך, כמסוס חתן נעל כלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תעריצי, על ידי ווש בפרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. And so with that, we are ready to go into Shabbat. For the benefit of a recording, which hopefully will make it onto Facebook later, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.